Hearn had received such a shock from the death of her friend Miss Loach that she has gone abroad and would not return for an indefinite time. So I can do nothing in that quarter just now. It is for this reason that I have come here to ask about Maraquito." "From Papa Le Beau?" said Peggy, wrinkling her pretty brows. "What can he know of this woman?" "She was a dancer until she had an accident. Le Beau may have had her through his hands." "Maraquito, Maraquito," murmured Peggy, and shook her head. "No, no, I do not remember her. How old is she?" "About 30, I think. A fine, handsome woman, like a tropical flower for coloring." "Spanish. The name is Spanish." "I think that is all that's Spanish about her. She talks English without the least accent. Hush, here is papa." It was indeed the little Professor who rushed into the room and threw himself, blowing and panting, on the dingy sofa. He was small and dry, with black eyes and a wrinkled face. He wore a blond wig which did not match his yellow complexion, and was neatly dressed in black, with an old fashioned swallow tail coat of blue. He carried a small fiddle, and spoke volubly without regarding the presence of Miles. "Oh, these cotchons of English, my dear!" he exclaimed to Peggy. "So steef, so wood steef in the limbs. I wiss 'em can do nozzing. No, not a leetle bit. Zey would make ze angels swear. Ah, mon Dieu, quel dommage I haf to teach zem." "I must see about these accounts," said Peggy, picking up a sheaf of papers and running out. "Stay to déjeuner, Miles." "Eh, mon ami," cried papa, rising. "My excuses, but ze pigs make me be much enraged. Zey are ze stiff dolls on the Strasbourg clock. You are vell, yis, quite vell, cheer up." The Professor had picked up a number of English slang words, which he interlarded into his conversations. He meant to be kind, and indeed liked Miles greatly. In proof of his recovered temper, he offered the young man a pinch of snuff. Jennings hated snuff, but to keep Papa Le Beau in good temper he accepted the offer and sneezed violently. "Professor," he said, when somewhat better, "I have come to ask you about a lady. A friend of mine has fallen in love with her, and he thought you might know of her." "Eh, what, mon cher? I understand nozzing. Ze lady cruel, nam?" "Maraquito Gredos." "Espagnole," murmured Le Beau, shaking his wig. "Non, I do not know ze name. Dancers of Spain, ah, yis. I have had many. Zey are not steef like the conchon Anglaise. Describe ze looks, mon ami." Jennings did so to the best of his ability, but the old man still appeared undecided. "But she has been ill for 3 years," added Jennings. "She fell and hurt her back, and " "Eh, what? Celestine!" cried Le Beau excitedly. "She did fall and hurt hersilf. Ah, yis, most dreadful. Conceive to yourself, me friend, she slipped on orange peels in ze streets and whacks she comes down. 3 year back, yis, 3 year. Celestine Durmand, mon fils." Jennings wondered. "But she said she is Spanish." Le Beau flipped a pinch of snuff in the air. "Ah, bah! She is no Spain." "So she is French," murmured Jennings to himself. "Ah, non, by no means," cried the Frenchman unexpectedly. "She is no French. She is Ingles. Ja, I remember, a very fine, big demoiselle. She wish to come out to de opera, but she too large, much too large. English, yis, la Juive." "A Jewess?" cried Jennings in his turn. "I swear to you, mon ami, English Jewess, mais oui. For 10 months she dance here, 3 years gone, zen ze orange peels and pouf! I no see her no mores. But never dance, no, too large, une grande demoiselle." "Do you know where she came from?" "No, I know nozzing, what I tell you." "Did you like her?" Le Beau shrugged his shoulders. "I am too old, mon ami. Les femmes like me not. I haf had me affairs, ah, yis, conceive, and he rattled out an adventure of his youth which was more amusing than normal. But Jennings paid very little attention to him. He was thinking that Maraquito, Celestine, was a more mysterious woman than he had thought her. While Jennings was wondering what use he could make of the information he had received, Le Beau suddenly flushed crimson. A new thought had occurred to him. "Do you know this one, this Celestine Durand? Tell her I wish money." "Did she not pay you?" Le Beau seized Jennings' arm and shook it violently. "Yis, £3. Quite right. Oh, certainly. But ze 4 piece of gold, a louis, non ze English sovereign." "The English sovereign, yes." "It was bad money, ver bad." "Have you got it?" asked Jennings, feeling that he was on the brink of a discovery. "Non. I pitch him far off in rages. I know now Celestine Durand. I admire her, oh, yis. Fine womans, a wicked eye. Mais un no, not zat. Bad, I tell you. If your friend love have nozzing with her. She give ze bad money, 1 piece." He held up a lean finger, and then, "Aha! Ze bell for ze tables. Allons, marchons. We dine, we eat," and he dashed out of the room as rapid as he had entered it. But Jennings did not follow him. He scribbled a note to Peggy stating that he had to go away on business, and left the Academy. He felt that it would be impossible to sit down and talk of trivial things, as he would have to do in the presence of Le Beau, when he had made such a discovery. The case was beginning to take shape. Can Maraquito have anything to do with the coiners, he asked himself. She is English, a Jewess. Saul is a Jewish name. Can she be of that family? It seems to me that this case is a bigger one than I can imagine. I wonder what I had better do. It was not easy to say. However, by the time Jennings reached his home he had chambers in Duke Street, St. James. He decided to see Maraquito. For this purpose he arrayed himself in accurate evening dress. Senora Gredos thought he was a mere idler, a man about town. Had she known of his real profession, she might not have welcomed him so freely to her house. Maraquito, for obvious reasons, had no desire to come in touch with the authorities. But it must not be thought that she violated the law in any very flagrant way. She was too clever for that. Her house was conducted in a most respectable manner. It was situated in Golden Square, and was a fine old mansion of the days when the locality was fashionable. Her servants were all neat and demure. Maraquito received a few friends every evening for a quiet game of cards, so on the surface no one could object to that. But when the doors were closed, high play went on, and well-known people ventured large sums of money on the chances of baccarat. Also, people not quite so respectable came, and it was for that reason Scotland Yard left the house alone. When any member of the detective staff wished to see anyone of a shady reputation, the person could be found at Maraquito's. Certainly only the aristocracy of crime came here, and never a woman. Maraquito did not appear to love her own sex. She received only gentlemen, and as she was an invalid, and attended constantly by a duenna in the form of a nurse, no one could say anything. The police knew in an underhand way that the Soho house was a gambling saloon, but the knowledge had not come officially, therefore no notice was taken. But Maraquito's servants suspected nothing, neither did the gossips of the neighborhood. Senora Gredos was simply looked upon as an invalid, fond of entertaining, because of her weariness in being confined to her couch. Jennings had appointed a meeting with Mallow in this semi-respectable establishment, and looked round when he entered the room. It was a large apartment, decorated in the Adams style, and furnished as a luxurious drawing room. At the side near the window there was a long table, covered with a green baize. Round this several gentlemen in evening dress were standing. Others played games of their own at separate small tables, but most of them devoted themselves to baccarat. Mark